Samsun is a city with a population over 500,000 people on the north coast of Turkey. It is the provincial capital of Samsun Province and a major Black Sea port. The growing city has 2 universities, several hospitals, shopping malls, a lot of light manufacturing industry, sports facilities and an opera.Mustafa. Kemal Atatürk began the Turkish War of Independence here in 1919. Name. The present name of the city may come from its former Greek name of Amissos by a reinterpretation of Is Amasin plus anta to Is Sampsunda and then Samson. The early Greek historian Hecateus read that Amissos was formerly called Anet, the place mentioned in Homer's Iliad. It has also been known as Peraios by Athenian settlers and even briefly as Pompeiopolis by a Roman statesman who wanted it named after him. The city was called Samisso by the Genoese, and during the Ottoman Empire the present name was written in Ottoman Turkish. History. Ancient history. Paleolithic artifacts found in the Kemal caves can be seen in Samsun Archaeology Museum. The earliest layer excavated of the Hoyak of Dundartepe revealed a Chalcolithic settlement. Early Bronze Age and Hittite settlements were also found there and at Kemal. Samsun was settled between the years of 760–750 BC by people from Miletus, who established a flourishing trade relationship with the ancient peoples of Anatolia. The city's ideal combination of fertile ground and shallow waters attracted numerous traders. Around the time Amissos was settled by the Milesians in the 6th century BCE, it is believed that there was significant Greek activity along the coast of the Black Sea, although the archaeological evidence for this is very fragmentary. The only archaeological evidence we have as early as the 6th century is a fragment of wild goat-style Greek pottery in the Louvre. The city was captured by the Persians in 550 BC and became part of Cappadocia. In the 5th century BC, Amissos became a free state and one of the members of the Delian League led by the Athenians. It was then renamed Piraeus under Pericles. In the 4th century BC the city came under the control of the Kingdom of Pontus. The Amissos treasure may have belonged to one of the kings. Tumuli containing tombs dated between 300 BC and 30 BC can be seen at Amissos Hill, but unfortunately Toramen Tepe was mostly flattened during construction of the 20th century radar base. The Romans took over in 71 BC and Amissos became part of Bithynia, a Pontus province. Around 46 BC, during the reign of Julius Caesar, Amissos became the capital of Roman Pontus. For the period of the Second Triumvirate up to Nero, Pontus was ruled by several client kings, as well as one client queen, Pythodorida of Pontus, a granddaughter of Marcus Antonius. From 62 CE it was directly ruled by Roman governors, most famously by Trajan's appointee Pliny. Pliny the Younger's address to the Emperor Trajan in the 1st century CE, "By your indulgence, sir, they have the benefit of their own laws," is interpreted by John Boyle Ory to indicate that the freedoms won for those in Pontus by the Romans was not pure freedom and depended on the generosity of the Roman emperor. Around 46 BC, during the reign of Julius Caesar, Amissos became the capital of Roman Pontus. For the period of the Second Triumvirate up to Nero, Pontus was ruled by several client kings, as well as one client queen, Pythodorida of Pontus, a granddaughter of Marcus Antonius. From 62 CE it was directly ruled by Roman governors, most famously by Trajan's appointee Pliny. Pliny the Younger's address to the Emperor Trajan in the 1st century CE, "By your indulgence, sir, they have the benefit of their own laws," is interpreted by John Boyle Ory to indicate that the freedoms won for those in Pontus by the Romans was not pure freedom and depended on the generosity of the Roman emperor. The estimated population of the city around 150 CE is between 20,000–20,000 25,000 people, classifying it as a relatively large city for the time. The city functioned as the commercial capital for the province of Pontus, beating its rival Sinope due to its position at the head of the Trans-Anatolia Highway in late antiquity. The city became part of the Diocese Pontica within the Eastern Roman Empire. Later still it was part of the Armeniac theme. Samsun Castle was built on the seaside in 1192. It was demolished between 1909 and 1918. Early Christianity. Though the roots of the city are Hellenistic, it was also one of the centers of an early Christian congregation. Its function as a commercial metropolis in northern Asia Minor was a contributing factor to enable the spread of Christian influence. As a large port city, the commercial capital of Pontus, travel to and from Christian hotbeds like Jerusalem was not uncommon. According to Josephus, there was large Jewish diaspora in Asia Minor. Given that the early evangelist Christians focused on Jewish diaspora communities, and that the Jewish diaspora in Amasis was a geographically accessible group with a mixed heritage group, it is not surprising that Amasis would be an appealing site for evangelist work. The author of 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 1 addresses the Jewish diaspora of the province of Pontus, along with 4 other provinces. Peter, an apostle of Jesus Christ, to God's elect exiles scattered throughout the provinces of Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia and Bithynia. As Amasis would have been the largest commercial port city in the province, it is believed certain that the spread of Christianity in the region would have begun there. In the 1st century, Pliny the Younger documents accounts of Christians in and around the cities of Pontus. His accounts center on his conflicts with the Christians when he served under the Emperor Trajan and describe early Christian communities, his condemnation of the refusal to renounce the religion, but also describes his tolerance for some Christian practices like Christian charitable societies. Many great early Christian figures had connections to Amasis, including Caesarea Massacre, Gregory the Illuminator and Basil the Great. Christian bishops of Amasis include Antonius, who took part in the Council of Chalcedon in 451, Erythraeus, a signatory of the letter that the bishops of Helen or Pontus wrote to Emperor Leo I the Thracian after the killing of Patriarch Proterius of Alexandria. The late 6th century bishop Florus, venerated as a saint in the Greek Menologion, and Tiberius, who attended the Third Council of Constantinople, Leo the Second Council of Nicaea, and Basilius, the Council of Constantinople of 879. The diocese is no longer mentioned in the Greek Notitia Episcopatuum after the 15th century and thereafter. The city was considered part of the See of Amasia. However, some Greek bishops of the 18th and 19th centuries bore the title of Amasis as titular bishops. In the 13th century, the Franciscans had a convent at Amasis, which became a Latin bishopric sometime before 1345, when its bishop Paulus was transferred to the recently conquered city of Smyrna and was replaced by the Dominican Benedict, who was followed by an Italian Armenian called Thomas. No longer a residential diocese, it is today listed by the Catholic Church as a titular see. Medieval and modern history. Samsun was part of the Seljuk Empire and Sultanate of Rum and the Empire of Trebizond and was one of the Genoese colonies. After the breakup of the Seljuk Empire into small principalities in the late 13th century, the city was ruled by one of them, the Izfendi Yarids. It was captured from the Izfendi Yarids at the end of the 14th century by the rival Ottoman Beylik under Sultan Bayezid I. but was lost again shortly afterwards. The Ottomans permanently conquered the town in 1420, and it became part of the Sanjak of Kanik, which was at first part of the Rumah-Yale. In the later Ottoman period, the land around the town mainly produced tobacco, with its own type being grown in Samsun, the Samsun Bafra, which the British described as having small but very aromatic leaves and commanding a high price. The town was connected to the railway system in the second half of the 19th century, and tobacco trade boomed. There was a British consulate in the town from 1837 to 1863. Samsun, then home to an Armenian community numbering over 5,000, was heavily affected during the Armenian Genocide of 1915. According to local eyewitnesses, such as Hafiz Mehmet, many of the Samsun Armenians were drowned in the Black Sea. Others were deported from Samsun and ultimately massacred in provinces further south. After the Armenian Genocide, there remained 11 Islamicized Armenians and 2 Armenian physicians. Armenian orphans who had survived were given to Turkish families. Mustafa Kemal Atatürk established the Turkish liberation movement against the Allies in Samsun on May 19, 1919, the date which traditionally marks the beginning of the Turkish War of Independence. Atatürk, appointed by the Ottoman government as inspector of the 9th Army Troops Inspectorate of the Empire in eastern Anatolia, left Constantinople aboard the now famous SS Bandırma May 16 for Samsun. Instead of obeying the orders of the Ottoman government, then under the control of the occupying Allies, he and a number of colleagues declared the beginning of the liberation movement. Later in the War of Independence, the city was bombarded by the Greek Navy. By 1920, Samsun's population totaled about 36,000 people. During the Tanzimat, some people were exiled from the Balkans, and in the mid-19th century Circassians expelled from the other side of the Black Sea. However, the grandparents of many of the present inhabitants migrated to Samsun from further east on the Black Sea. In the 21st century some foreigners arrived, some for the universities and some as refugees. Overwhelming majority of people are Muslims. Government. The council has various service units. There is a 2010 to 2014 strategic plan. Samsun has a budget deficit of TL 323 million. Geography. Samsun is a long city which extends along the coast between 2 river deltas which jut into the Black Sea. It is located at the end of an ancient route from Cappadocia. The Amazons of antiquity lay on the headland northwest of the modern city center. The city is growing fast. Land has been reclaimed from the sea and many more apartment blocks and shopping malls are currently being built. Industry is tending to move east further away from the city center and towards the airport. Rivers to Samsun's west lies the Kizil Irmak, one of the longest rivers in Anatolia and its fertile delta. To the east lie the Yeşil Irmak and its delta. The river Mert reaches the sea at the city. Climate. Samsun has a humid subtropical climate, like most of the eastern Black Sea coast of Turkey. Spring temperatures can vary by over 10 degrees from one day to the next. Summers are warm and humid, and the average maximum temperature is around 27 degrees Celsius in August. Winters are cool and damp, and the lowest average minimum temperature is around 3 degrees Celsius in January. Precipitation is heaviest in late autumn and early winter. Snow sometimes occurs between the months of December and March, but never more than a few centimeters of snow falls in the city, and temperatures below the freezing point rarely last more than a couple of days. The water temperature, as in the whole Turkish Black Sea coast, is always cool, fluctuating between 8 to 20 degrees Celsius throughout the year. Architecture. Mosques. Pazar Mosque, Samsun's oldest surviving building, a mosque built by the Ilkhanate Mongols in the 13th century. Valide Bayak Mosque was built by Baytumlu Haji Effendi in 1884. Its name, Valide, comes from the mother of Ottoman Sultan Abdulaziz. Haji Hachan Mosque dates from 1694. Transport. Long-distance buses. The bus station is outside the city center, but most bus companies provide a free transfer there if you have a ticket. Passenger and freight trains run to Chivas via Amasya. The train station is in the city center. Freight trains are taken by ferry to railways at Kavkaz in Russia, and will later see service to the port of Varna in Bulgaria and port.The in Georgia. Modern trams run between the train station and Ondokus Mayor's University. There is a plan to run electrically powered bus rapid transit between the railway station and Tekkakoi. City buses carry passengers actively. Dolmus. The routes are numbered 1 to 4 and each route has different color minibuses. The 320 meters long Samsun Amasos Hill gondola serves from Batu Park, the archaeological area on the Amasos Hill, where ancient tombs in tumuli were discovered. Samsun Karsamba Airport is 23 kilometers east of the city center. It is possible to reach the airport by Avas service buses. They depart from the coach park close to Culture Sarayi in the city center. Horse-drawn carriages run along the seafront. There was automated bike rental along the seafront, but it is not currently operational. Economy. Samsun has a mixed economy with a cluster of medical industries. Ports and shipbuilding. Samsun is a port city. In the early 20th century, the Central Bank of the Republic of Turkey funded the building of a harbor. Before the building of the harbor, ships had to anchor to deliver goods, approximately 1 mile or more from shore. Trade and transportation was focused around a road to and from Chivas. The privately operated port fronting the city center handles freight, including ro-ro ferries to Novorossiysk, whereas fishing boats land the catches in a separate harbor slightly further east. A shipbuilding yard is under construction at the eastern city limit. Road and rail freight connections with central Anatolia can be used to send inland both the agricultural produce of the surrounding well-rained upon and fertile land, and also imports from overseas. Manufacturing and food processing. There is a light industrial zone between the city and the airport. The main manufactured products are medical devices and products, furniture, tobacco products, chemicals and automobile spare parts. Flour mills import wheat from Ukraine and export some of the flour. Local government and services. Provincial government and services support the surrounding region. Agricultural research establishments support provincial agriculture and food processing. Shopping. Most of the many new shopping malls are purpose-built, but the former tobacco factory in the city center has been converted into a mall. Culture. The Atatürk Culture Center. Atatürk Culture Sarayi. Concerts and other performances are held at the Culture Sarayi, which is shaped much like a ski jump. Samsun State Opera and Ballet performs in the Atatürk Culture Center. Founded in 2009, it is one of the 6 state opera houses in Turkey. The Samsun Opera have performed Die Entführung in the annual Istanbul Opera Festival, in collaboration with the Peking Opera. The Samsun Opera performed Puccini's Madama Butterfly in the Aspendos International Opera and Ballet Festival in 2012. Other performances include La Bohème, La Traviata, Don Quixote, Giselle. The current musical director is Lorenzo Castriotis Kandabig. Museums. Archaeological and Atatürk Museum. The archaeological part of the museum displays ancient artifacts found in the Samsun area, including the Amasos treasure. The Atatürk section includes photographs of his life and some personal belongings. Atatürk Museum. It houses Atatürk's bedroom, his study and conference room as well as some personal belongings. Samsun City Museum. A new museum. Folk dancing. There is an annual international festival. Education. There are 2 universities in Samsun, the state-run Ondokusmayas University and the private sector Kanik Basari University. There is also a police training college and many small private colleges. Media. There is a local newspaper called Haber Gazetesi and a local TV channel. Health. There are many public and private hospitals. Parks, nature reserves and other green space. Parks. Sparti Park is a large park on land reclaimed from the sea. Dogu Park. Atatürk Park contains his statue by Austrian sculptor Heinrich Krippel, which was completed in 1931. The statue was depicted on the obverse of the Turkish 100,000 lira banknotes of 1991 to 2001. Nature reserves Kakila Korasu. Other green spaces of 2015. There are 3 army barracks in the city with substantial green space. Should they become surplus to military requirements in future, for example due to reduced conscription, it is currently unclear what would happen to the green space. Sports. In ancient Roman times gladiator sword fighting apparently took place in Amisos, as depicted on a tombstone dating from the 2nd or 3rd century CE. Tekkakoy Dog Arena opened in 2013. Football is the most popular sport. In the older districts above the city center, children often kick balls around in the evenings in the smallest streets. The city's football club is Samsunspor, which plays its games at the Samsun 19 Mayors Stadium. Basketball, volleyball, tennis, swimming, cable skiing, horse riding, go-karting, paintballing, martial arts and many other sports are played. Cycling and jogging are only common along the seafront, where recreational fishing is also popular. International relations. Twin towns. Sister cities. Samsun is twinned with North Little Rock, Arkansas, United States; Gorgan, Iran; Iskal, Northern Cyprus; Novorossiysk, Russia; Dar es Salaam, Tanzania; Kalmar, Sweden; Bordeaux, France; Kiel, Germany; Bratsko, Bosnia and Herzegovina; Bizerte, Tunisia; Donetsk, Ukraine; Kiel, Germany; Accra, Ghana. Notable people. Turanian of Amis's 1st century BCE grammarian. Nebuhat Kara, actress and beauty queen. Mustafa Daja Stanley, 2 times Olympic gold medalist sports wrestler. Yazar Dogu, gold medalist wrestler. Orhan Gensbey, musician. Tanju Kolak, 1987 European Golden Boot holder, soccer player, striker. Yildiz, musician. Mehmet Aslan, actor. Ece Erkan, TV hostess and actress. Ahu Turkpens, actress. Deniz Killaklai, college basketball player at West Virginia University. Sefagavni Ozudoglu, military officer in the Ottoman and Turkish armies. Ai Bezrides, American novelist and screenwriter.